Game on, ladies! The grand final is, well, not about to start, but at least it's in reach for the two players here. We are in the playoffs, and as we're looking at our winner bracket match, we already have an absolute highlight here. Spiral and Happy, they are both playing in the Ryzing Star Cup playoffs here in the first round of the winner bracket final. And this best of 5 series should actually be an absolute highlight. I mean, Spiral here on Concealed Hill all the way up to the top right. Spawning again as Orc, of course. And he's going up against none other than Happy. Well, Happy, obviously, he pretty much won every single Ryzing Star Cup that he participated in, with one exception. Ryzing Star Cup number 10. He didn't win that. He didn't win number 12 either, but that's why, because it was a dream hack. But he actually participated in number 10, and he lost that. He lost actually to an Orc player. He lost to Cash. So maybe Spiral has a chance here. But as it stands, Happy now at the bottom left is, of course, one of the big favorites, not only heading into the grand final, but also to win the entire thing. If he can really pull it off, or if there will be some problems along the road, that's something that we're going to find out today. It's going to be awesome, guys. Big shout out especially to AMD, obviously, for making all of this happen for this first season here of the Ryzing Star Cup. It's going to be brilliant. Already Death Knight on the side of our undead player all the way up to the top right. As you can tell, we have this time a Farseer opening from Spiral. And, well, game number 1 in the best of 5 series, Concealed Hill, and it's time to see what the two can pull off here. First of all, Acolyte already out there for scouting, trying to get a bit of an idea, of course, which hero is going to be used by Spiral in the first game. Are we going to see that Farseer opening? Is it going to be a Blade Master, or what's going to happen here? For the time being, actually, we have top right, Farseer is already out, and it's time for a couple of wolves to shine. Spirit Wolves coming, Happy is still double checking all of that. His own Death Knight is, of course, now also in play, and the first thing that we're seeing is the Rod of Necromancy put to some good use. Yep, all those undead players, very, very efficient. You could say that German. Every single time you see them, it's just items, 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 perfect use there, play around those cooldowns, and make it happen. So now we have already a couple of camps attacked. Both players are going for the first few items for a little bit of starting experience, trying to hit level 2 as soon as they can. Ring of Protection on the side of the Death Knight, and Claws of Attack +6 for the Orc player. Kind of neat if you have a Blade Master and can boost your own damage output with it, but then on the other hand, if you have a range damage dealer, it's also kind of nice to have that extra damage just so that you can keep any kind of melee hero in particular a little bit easier at bay in the early stages of the game. Against the Death Knight, it can be quite the helpful tool to have. And on top of that, of course, you have also a pretty neat weapon at hand whenever focus fire is needed in later on team fights that you can use there too. Down at the bottom of the map already, we have a little bit of action as they are going for the Mantle of Intelligence here. Ghouls are getting pulled back, but that's a bit of experience to put the Death Knight on level 2 at least. So Happy is now in a spot where he at least has the Unholy Aura that he can play around with. Now, of course, looking over to his opponent, we have a bit of an advantage in experience for the Farseer. Spiral is currently doing pretty well with that. He's also attempting to creep with only his units, as he's trying to avoid coils sniping the experience. And so far that's actually more or less working out. That Kobold, on the other hand, might have a bit of trouble. Keep in mind that there's a chain lightning available, so it's not really going to be a thing for the level 1 Kobold here, but if later on it's going to be helpful to just secure that experience, it might be a tool that Spiral is going to use to snack the last few hit points away and get the experience for himself here. But there it is, the little battle between the heroes in the early game. Fiends are now being used by Happy too, but thanks to the Claws of Attack +6, that's a lot of damage on the Death Knight. Coil comes in and actually just barely doesn't kill the target. Thankfully, hit a couple of skeletons around that could do the job here. So some extra experience now for Happy. Doesn't bring him quite on the same level with the Death Knight as the Farseer, but we still have level 2.5 and level 2.3 for the two of them. Also, down at the bottom, the Rubian Tower, just in case that the Orc player is getting a bit cheeky, trying to move in with the Spirit Wolves. Necropolis upgrade is nearly done, and top right, as you can imagine, the tech into the Stronghold is also nearly completed for Spiral himself. Yeah, and in this case it's actually Spiral who gets access to the fountain over here a little bit quicker. So with that, he has now a pretty nice situation going for himself, where his own Farseer is back up to 360 HP. But on the other hand, you see that the Death Knight, who has taken a beating earlier in the fight too, still needs to try and recover some hit points before he can really make any big moves here. Death Knight needs to be careful too. I mean, of course, there's always the Death Coil to be talked about, but if you have the Chain Lightning available for Spiral's Farseer, that can pretty much take down the hero easily as well. So you gotta be a bit careful here. Tomb of Intelligence, also a nice touch to make sure that he's actually boosting the main attribute of his hero a little bit more. And as we're looking to all of this, down here, the Death Knight had to stop by the fountain too just to recover a few hit points, and is now moving topside with 3 Fiends to put more pressure onto the Farseer. Now, the Gnoll Overseer hasn't been taken down. And that's of course the big one. That's the big one, and that's also the one that will then drop the item, but you can tell it's all about the hero pressure again. Tyrant Chieftain is now in for Spiral, so he will have the Warstorm ready. There's the coil though. Ooh, and it's gonna be clutch, and he actually TPs out. Was below 30 hit points as that happened, so Happy really nicely playing around the hit point pool of his opponent's first hero, and is able to force the town portal. Yeah, Spiral in this case didn't want to jinx it here. Said like, yeah, that could actually kill me. Let's be on the safe side and make sure that we're jumping out. And sacrifices the town portal in the process, as you can tell. So it's all about expansion for Spiral now. And, of course, the Gnoll Overseer at the same time. Now to the bottom of the map, Lich is underway. Halls of the Dead nearly fully upgraded into the Black Citadel now, so once that he reaches his tier 3 tech, can also add the third hero, but we already have the Tyrant Chieftain on level 1.5. Has in the inventory also now the item that he just found, so he got himself a Talisman of Evasion. Not really too bad if you're trying to move into your opponent's backline for those Warstorms. Now, it doesn't really help them against the magic damage that comes out of those coils, but still, it's a tool that he can definitely use in those encounters that are sure to come. Raiders are also going to allow Spiral to be more aggressive now. Whenever you have an ensnare available for you, you can of course force that army to face you and really start that fight. So Happy has to be cautious with that. And for now we have actually quite a few more items. Replenishment Potion is now in. Farseer is checking out what's happening at the bottom of the map here. Death Knight, by the way, is still not level 3, so that's also a thing. Tries to get himself a bit more experience. But we still have the Tyrant Chieftain creeping. And for Spiral, it's a kind of nice situation to have now. He's in a spot where he has a level 3 Farseer, so he doesn't have to be worried around that. He is trying to creep his Tyrant Chieftain to level 3 now as well. And the entire time, the goal was just to push the Death Knight a bit lower in HP, but now that the statues are in, this is pretty much something where you don't want to expose yourself to your opponent's aggression any longer. The problem with the Farseer harassing is that if he takes too much damage, then the Coil Nova combo can always try and take him down at some point, so you need to be a bit careful. We have 47 supply now for Spiral. Obviously, when we're looking towards Happy, he's sitting below 50%, 50 supply too, sitting at 42 now to be exact. In the inventory, still now with also a Ring of Regeneration, which is pretty neat to have if the Death Knight is taking a pretty big beating in every single encounter and is getting harassed a whole lot. Then having the Unholy Aura and also Ring of Regeneration really helps you a lot. You put statues into that equation too, and all of a sudden you're talking about a hero that will more or less enter every single fight on a decent hit point level. A lot of frogs on the map, I like that. Great feature of the map here. A little bit of creeping is still going on, and the Lich, of course, has by now also the Orb of Corruption. Mantle of Intelligence is in. Here comes our third hero, Pitlord. Yes, that Howl of Terror, as the little fatty is entering the arena. Kodo Beast over here is also now in the mix. We have a couple of Headhunters already in. The Tyrant Chieftain is now finally on level 3. He has a Potion of Lesser Invulnerability and a Potion of Invulnerability in the inventory. So pretty neat for him. The expansion up here is done, but there's only a single peon so far that's mining. Spiral's at 55 supply against the 49 that Happy has. He obviously has no qualms going over into the low upkeep as long as the expansion is actually mining, but that's not the case right now. And here comes comes the fight. And this is the perfect timing, actually, for Happy. If he can make a fight happen now and maybe take the expansion down, it would be fantastic. But if Spiral forces the down portal, it's a completely different ball game. He will have way more time. Tower and Chieftain the entire time with storm after storm, but he's starting to run out of mana. There's not a lot left there. Still having that Howl of Terror coming through as Happy is trying to take the Orc army apart piece by piece. Spiral with a few reinforcements that are slowly coming in. A nice micro as Happy is once again going for the Burrowed Fiends. Quick coil saves at least this one, but the focus is now all of a sudden on the Pitlord. And that might actually be a little bit of a problem for Happy. Gets another coil out, but now the Death Knight is also low in mana. Had the cooldown ready, but is starting to run out of mana quickly, and the Fiends are actually in big trouble. Another coil as he uses the potion there. Brings his mana pool back up, but one Fiend already lost. Happy at 47 supply. Spiral is down to 41 right now. He lost a ton already. A lot of those headhunters are already down. And another Raider is about to die just in another second. Gets the ensnare through, at least against the Destroyers. That might be something that Spiral can finally take down. But he's down to 40 supply now. Happy is at 46. And the Orc player is just losing more and more ground as we speak. He has the income, but he just doesn't have anything to fight with anymore over here. The Tauren Chieftain, nearly out of mana, is definitely in trouble. We have also the Kodo Beast just trying to devour one of those Fiends, but now that the focus is starting to shift a little bit, the Undead player is going to try and take it down. Problem is that the Lich is also rather low, and that TC is still looking pretty sweet, but the aggression is still there. Mining is ongoing, Spiral's at 41 supply, and Happy is at 52, so there's a big lead now in army supply for the Undead player in this first game. That Farseer and Tauren Chieftain are so far still looking Gucci. We still have the Death Knight on the other hand, looking really, really nice here. Has enough mana for another coil that he could use at any time to either save a Fiend or the Lich. Lich in itself is a little bit low, and Happy just has a perfect siege setup against the Orc players expansion here. This is looking really good for him right now. So with this, it's going to be extremely tricky to make any kind of moves for Spiral. He's starting to also abandon the expansion right now, as you can tell. So he's behind in tech, still sitting on the stronghold. He also is actually behind in heroes right now. You look over to his hero levels, and we see the Undead player matching that easily with the Death Knight and the Lich. And in addition to that, he has the third hero on level 2. And his first two heroes are getting a bit closer to level 4. I mean, that Death Knight alone is on 3.8, so he doesn't really need a lot of XP, a lot of killed units to finally hit the next level. Spiral realizes, of course, that his own chance of winning this game, the only chance, is actually keeping that expansion in play. And that is going to be super tricky. If he can force a portal, that would be the dream, but it doesn't really seem likely anymore. Statues are getting attacked, but so does the Kodo Beast. Kodo is already down, and now the focus on the Lich. The coil is there. Death Knight levels up, has another coil available soon, a second one, and he's just annihilating Spiral. GG as Spiral yields the field of battle, and Happy takes the first victory in the best of 5 series here in the winner bracket. GG, well played. Game on, ladies! Alrighty, so Spiral going up against Happy in game number 2. And, well, let's go for it. We already have here on Echo Isles up to the top left our two players. Happy, obviously, in the lead right now after the victory on map number 1. Now we are on Echo Isles, our second map of the best of 5 series here in the quarterfinal, the winner bracket. And all the way up to the top right is Spiral. So let's see if he can actually make it happen here and turn this around a little bit and secure himself the first map win. Happy's timing was, of course, absolutely impeccable on the last map. He did extremely well around the expansion attack. Went straight. I mean, the problem for him is really if the attack doesn't work, if Spiral is by any means able to just fend off the attack, force him to DP, force him to jump through, then we are in a spot where it's going to be way more tricky for Happy to really break through the Orc army, simply because that expansion economy is going to kick in and will make it a lot more difficult to really sustain yourself there in the fight. But as it happens, Spiral just wasn't in a position where he could do anything about it, so he was trying to fend the attack off as much as he could, but at the end of the day, Happy just took way too many of those units apart. Micro was too strong there. And Spiral has to fall back. Happy can shut down that expansion income all day, every day. So extremely well done by him. And as it stands right now, we have top right Farseer opening again for Spiral. On the left side, obviously the Death Knight going to make an appearance as the first hero on the undead player. And off we go. 2 more relics nearly done. Guess we're gonna see a lot of necromancy. Ooh. Yeah, the predictions really going deep this time. Taking huge risk with those predictions. But as it stands, it's a very small map, and of course the camps in the middle of the map are going to be pretty important, aka marketplace and also the shop are going to play a big role. Map very much mirrored around those 2 camps, and therefore if you creep those, you get not only better items, but also are likely ending up with a superior experience amount. At least looking at that. But well, as it stands, currently we have to the top left, Happy, of course, creeping his own Death Knight up a little bit. We've seen it in the last game. He wants to try and get his Death Knight to level 2 as quickly as possible. Having that Unholy Aura on level 1, very helpful, even if you're trying to harass. So very likely we're going to see a bit of Ghoul creeping down here again, as he's going to try and reach that 2nd level, while at the same time harassing his opponent. So over to the top, that Acolyte is still sneaking around. And, of course, knows now exactly where Spiral is headed next. Not really a big surprise, but still, anyways, if there's any kind of coil snipe that he can go for, he will definitely try. But we already have the Gloves of Haste for the Farseer, and there's a level 2 for him now, too. So definitely after killing the Acolyte in a spot we can rely on the Chain Lightning, but also just try and get the remaining creeps here, which is pretty much what's going to happen. And as you can tell on the minimap, Happy on the left side has already sent a couple of his ghouls and skeletons over to try and creep that remaining spot, so that he's also going to get towards level 2, which is exactly what we're seeing right now over here. The ghoul alone is not going to cut it though. Tomb of Intelligence is in, but he's not able to get quite to the next level yet. So no Unholy Aura for him. At least not for the time being. If he can snipe something down here, that's going to be a completely different story though. But we already have the Farseer starting to become a bit more aggressive on the left side of the map as well. And if you look in the main base, there's again an Rubian Tower for Happy, so he's going to be able to just retarget those summonings over and over again and try and play around that. At the bottom, the 2 grunts are still trying to make sure that Happy isn't sneaking anything away here. But now that the main base is actually getting attacked, he is starting to fall back from that plan. Yeah, Scroll of Haste is already in. And let's see how many of those Acolytes he can kill. 1 is already down, 2nd one is likely to fall. And let's not forget, Necropolis tech is currently up, which actually means that he can't replace those Acolytes if they actually die. Talking about dying, that Farseer is not looking too healthy either. What about the Acolyte? Is it going to be a coil? Still not mining though, so very likely going to be safe, but still not mining for a long time. So that's shutting down mining from 2 Acolytes for quite some amount of time, which gives a slight lead over to Spiral when it comes to his income. So there's quite a bit of income inequality currently in this game as well, not only in the States. But as the Farseer summons a few more wolves, he is now in the spot where he can at least start to attack the bottom right of the map. Now Happy is falling back into the old pattern, so he saved the Acolyte at the top left. Now that the Necropolis tech is also done, the killed Acolyte is getting replaced. But the main goal for him early on was of course to try and sneak that Orga Magi away, which he now can't do. So the Claws of Attack plus 6 is already in play for Spiral. 31 supply for him, 25 for Happy. But especially that little move over here now allowed him to not only get the item, but also, of course, the experience. Bit of damage on the Death Knight, but that Grunt is on 225 hit points, should actually be able to survive here.
Forces are under attack.
196, if he drops below 100, then obviously the coil is going to be enough to take him out. 166, going to be a little bit close though. Depends on how deep he goes here. 2 more hits needed, honestly, if he wants to make a difference. Oh, but there it is! Yes, 2 hit points. 2 hit points, 102, and that just was not enough. Yeah, I got a little bit unlucky there, of course, as well. So now that we are sitting with Spiral at nearly level 3, and the completed tech, we of course have the 2nd hero coming in, and you already guessed it, it's the Tauren Chieftain again. Need that War Storm in the Fiend army. Over on the left side of the map now, though, Halls of the Dead already getting upgraded to the Black Citadel. We don't have the 2nd hero just yet, so he prioritizes the tech before that. Soon gonna get the rest now, though. And at the same time now, we are already seeing the Death Knight with level 2 and a few Fiends on the map to try and get some experience too. And especially since he's sneaking around, he wants to double check what's happening at that expansion, since Spiral, of course, tends to expand. And now that we are already in with a Great Hall in, that's going to be a cancel on the Expo. Nicely done. Good cancel, but in this case, Spiral is not even thinking about doing anything about it. He's just saying, okay, if you're there, I'm at least going to get a few of those creeps in the middle of the map. And that leaves him now with level 2 wolves as well. So that's kind of neat. I mean, puts him in a spot where he can actually now also... Oh, Scroll of Speed already in use. Trying to go for the surround. Yeah, and he closes it. Nice! That's a portal. Well done. Great Scroll of Speed, jumping in, getting the quick stun in, and then on the second attempt, he closes the surround. Nicely done by Spiral. Forces the surround, happy without a town portal now, and of course, that should also give him the Augur Mauler on level 5 here. Nice move by Spiral. It's a small move, it's actually a big move. I mean, honestly, that is helping him a lot with his presence on the map now, and it's also making it a lot easier to level the Tauren Chieftain, because that of course is what a lot of this is going to hinge on, the level of that Warstorm. We now have sentry wards for the Orc player. Would love to see some different items there, but already placing one at the shop so that he knows exactly when the Undead player is making a move there. Lich is in. Still a bit low on Happy's Death Knight, and the items are making it possible. Not only does he have the Claws of Attack +6 this time, but also the Gloves of Haste. So that really allows him to get some extra hits in against those heroes, keep them as low as he possibly can. And especially the Death Knight is of course a preferred target. If the Death Knight is in trouble, then the entire Undead army is pretty much in trouble. And that's exactly what he's banking his hopes on. So now that we have skeleton after skeleton slowly taken down, that's also some extra experience here. Not really too much. But as all of this happens, we still see Spiral expand, attacking on the right side of the map, the minions securing the market, the mercenary camp. That's going to give him more experience. Tauren Chieftain already on level 2.5, closing in on 3. And with the Renegade Wizard falling, he gets the Pendant of Energy. Nice! That's a lot more Warstorms for him now. So that's actually neat. It's exactly what he needs. You could see him in the last game. He stormed twice and was pretty much out of mana in that situation. Never even entered the fight with full mana, so that was part of the problem. But now that we also have the additional items at the shop, the Potion of Lesser Invulnerability has been bought. Spiral's at 46 supply. Happy currently at 39. And in the main base has also completed the tech, is now done with another cigarette. There's also the first statues coming in, Burrows being researched too. Gets all of that done, Claws of Attack are being passed over to the Farseer after the Tauren Chieftain just found the item. So with plus 12 attack now, plus 15 actually. We're looking at a setup in which the Farseer can start to really chunk out a huge amount of damage through auto attacks alone. Doesn't really have to rely on any of his abilities at this point. Just a couple of neat auto attacks are going to help him a lot, of course. And as long as Happy doesn't have high-level Death Coil Nova combos, he is going to be in a spot where that Farseer should actually be rather safe. And now we have bot lane, at least, or at the bottom of the map, bottom left camp, Death Knight on level 3, Ring of Protection. In total, we have him on 7 armor, which is pretty neat if you know that your opponent is already going to try and auto-attack you over and over and over again here. Now, with not only 2 Circlets of Nobility in the inventory, but also the Orb of Corruption, that Lich is by now on plus 9 damage. Doesn't quite match what Spiral can bring to the table, but hey, Scroll of the Beast in the inventory now. On top of that, there's already the Scroll of Speed used. The problem is that this Great Hall down here is likely going to be attacked, but Spiral knows about all of this because he has that Sentry Ward. So that's the reason why he's trying to attack his opponent's main base as quickly as he can, because what he's going to try and do here is at the end of the day simply force a town portal of Happy. He's pretty much just saying, like, you can take my base, but I'm going to take yours, and you don't want to lose that. If you want to trade expansion for main base, then be my guest, bro. But that's very likely not going to happen. Yeah, that Raider gets a little bit isolated, but with that siege damage that at least those few are bringing in, that's of course a neat move now. So TP for TP gets traded, and that's not a problem for Spiral at all. If you have an expansion and your opponent doesn't, you are happy to trade town portals. All day, every day. Your economy is going to make it happen for you. 50 supply for both players now. But with TPs gone, there's pretty much only one of them that has the resources to buy those back. But of course, Happy can now simply try and move over and force the attack again. It's unlikely that on this map, Spiral is able to sneak past him. So this should be an attack that Spiral will have to face eventually. And of course, the same rules more or less apply than what we talked about on the first map. If the attack can be fended off by Spiral, then Happy is gonna be in a bit of trouble, since that extra income is definitely a problem. But there's also resources that the Orc player had to dump into all of this first, and that hasn't really paid off yet. It is, of course, an investment at the end of the day. Attacks are coming in again. There's the Skull of Speed already as they're starting to make the play. TC, of course, wants to get into that back line. Gets the War Stomp out against the army. Has it on level 2 right now, of course. Good items with even the Potion of Healing in the inventory. And it's just Stomp time. And that Pendant of Energy is worth so much. Has also the the Sentry Ward on the ground is going to be a game changer. Burrow is going to do jack shit for Happy at this point. So that's actually a really neat position for Spiral to be in. 47 supply for him now. Happy is already at 54. The attack against the Pit Lord as he's starting to drop a little bit low. Another set of summonings is coming in, but the Destroyers are, of course, always ready for another bit of energy here. Happy is in supply, still at 54, but there's the level up. Not only the Pit Lord, but also the Lich on the next level. Lich by now with plus 15 attack damage too, thanks to the claws that he found. The Farseer is trying to fire away time and time again. Burrow is in, but the FS is dead, and that is game. Coil Nova, and that is the end of the first tier on Spiral's side, and that's also the end of the fight and the game. Happy with a 2-0 lead against Spiral now in this first round of the winner bracket, the Ryzing Star Cup playoffs. Game number 3, everybody. Spiral against Happy. The map is Terrana Stand, and Happy has taken the 2-0 lead against his Orc opponent. All the way up to the top left, the German, not showing as much efficiency as we usually see from those guys, but he's trying. Down to the bottom right of the map, though, we have his Russian opponent, and Happy is very happy right now because he has a pretty solid 2-0 lead. 2 times we've seen the Farseer opening for Spiral in the attempt to establish a tier 2 expansion, and 2 times Happy was able to shut it down before it became a big problem for him. Spiral had a pretty nice exchange here in Town Portals at one point to buy himself a little bit more time to capitalize on that expansion, but it was not really enough to shut Happy down there. And there were actually a lot of things that were going really well for Spiral. First of all, the Pendant of Energy on the Tyrant Chieftain allowed him a much bigger energy pool, mana pool that allowed him to get a few more stomps in. He had on the same time the Sentry Wards that helped him against the Fiends that were burrowed. He decided for, of course, the Pit Lord, which didn't really turn out to be the best move there. And once that we had the upgrade on the Lich into level 3, that Coil Nova combo just destroyed the Farseer. So there was nothing that he could do any longer after losing his first hero. So a big problem for that. But as it happens here, let's see if maybe Spiral can do something about it. One thing that I haven't really explained just yet, but in case that you guys didn't know, this is actually a double elimination tournament. Which means if Spiral loses in the round of 8, he's not out of the tournament directly. No, he's going to drop into the loser's bracket, where he then has another shot of making it into the grand final and to just proceed through the tournament. Happy, of course, would also already move into the winner bracket semi-final, where he is then going to face a human player one way or another, because in our second best of match, second best of 5 match of the day, we're gonna see a human mirror, which is a little bit unfortunate for human fans because we have only 2 humans in the entire tournament. Only 2 made it into the top 8, but again, it's all down to the points that players could acquire over the last 12 weeks through participating in the weekly Ryzing Cup. So that's just how the bracket and the seeding worked out after those rules were clear before, and yeah, that's just what we're looking at. But that's something that we can discuss a bit later when we actually have that match at hand. For now, we have already a bit of a difference here in the approach that we see from Spiral. Instead of trying to really get some experience for his own Farseer, he's just saying, let's go for the aggression right away. That Ziggurat isn't upgraded yet, so without the Spirit Tower, there's at least a chance that he can do some damage, but without level 2, he obviously doesn't have his Chain Lightning either. is trying to do something here. And the tech has just now started in the Necropolis, so every single Acolyte that he can take down now would be a huge help. But the Nerubian Tower is already starting to slow him down, and guess who's back, baby? Yes, that Death Knight. So the coil is there, and this doesn't look pretty for Spiral at all. Nope, gotta sacrifice. No, he's portaling out, not sacrificing that level 1 Farseer after all. So that actually was a really solid defense from Happy. So Spiral right now didn't actually accomplish anything really. Now he harassed his opponent, he annoyed him a little bit, but not a single Acolyte was killed. He lost the town portal, the Farseer that is, had to TP back, and of course now use the healing selves to get himself back up to full HP. But while all of this happened, the Death Knight has already gotten himself a bit of experience. And Spiral can't really go down towards the bottom right anymore to try and repeat that little trick without risking his Farseer to actually die this time. So it is a problem. And he is trying to be aggressive right now. Could also try and steal, of course, a few of those camps away, but since we're talking about the mercenary camps, the creeps on the map, this is actually something where the undead player could set himself now a little bit ahead and apart from his opponent by simply starting to take those down. The rogue wizard on level 3, for example, would be a nice one to kill, and that's what he gets. That's of course also the item slot, so by now we have him with 1 ring of protection, and on top of that he gets the circlet of nobility. So pretty sweet for him. Tech, in the meantime, has been completed for Spiral, so it's Tyrant Chieftain time again. At the bottom right of the map, as you already might have imagined, the Necropolis is soon going to be done too, which then would allow him to go into the Lich again. Happy is getting much more attack than he did in the last game, so the entire balance has shifted a little bit in the sense that Spiral is playing way more aggressive in the attempt to actually sneak some experience away and try and keep that Death Knight low. The problem really is losing the town portal was of course already a problem, and then also he is now behind in experience. And if that trend continues, then he's gonna be in for a very, very rough game here. Fiends are already making it in 2, as Happy is trying to give the Farseer a taste of his own medicine and starts to harass him slowly. Oh, that was a mistake. Up to the top now though. Happy is doing what he did the entire time. He's going for the scraps on the map. He's just saying, well, I'm going to try and take the Tunneler away now too. That's level 2 for the Death Knight and gets another item. So he's actually stealing item after item away on the map from the small creep camps that he can take now. And that is going to be tricky. Death Knight is on level 2. The Orc heroes are still on level 1. And now, of course, he can attempt to take some of the bigger camps, but Happy is by now teching into the Black Citadel. He has already started the training of the Lich in the Altar of Darkness. And at the left side of the map, we could even see him steal some of those creeps away, and he's trying to do exactly that. So Spiral has a grunt that quickly needs to move out here. That could have been a target for the Death Knight too. But he can just start to harass all of this with the fiends that he brought to the party. And there's of course an easy save right there, but every single wolf that you take down, every single grunt, every single creep that you eliminate is a bit of a win for him. In the main base, we now see the slaughterhouse nearly completed, 30 supply for Happy. You look over to the Orc player and we have him at 37, and he is still trying to creep a little bit. Especially of course the Tyrant Chieftain, you want to get him still high up. Scroll of the Beast for him, by the way. But now he's starting to focus on the expansion again. The big question is, of course, is he going to try and build another expo? It didn't work in game number 1, didn't work in game number 2, but Spiral believes that game number 3 is when things change. Sends the Peon over, we don't see the tech into tier 3 for him. Instead, we are going to have him with another expansion attempt, as the undead player is already attempting to creep his own side of the map. Gets quite a few items, puts the items over on the Lich. So this third game, if the pattern holds, is going to be a rough one for Spiral. But by now, it's all about the experience. Experience and additional items, and with the Forest Troll Shadow Priest already going down, that's even another claw for the Lich, so he's going to look at a fair amount of damage here. The claw is going to put him to plus 13, and then we get the Orb of Corruption after tier 3 has been reached. So that's going to be a Lich with a lot of damage output. Quite a decent stats boost thanks to the double Circlet of Nobility. And Gloves of Haste to boot, so that guy is going to be a killer. Level 2 on both of the Orc heroes, and a nice item, actually 2 nice items. Gets the Ring of Regeneration and the Lionhound of Stormwild. So having the armor item right here is already really sweet. Down to the bottom of the map now. Again, attack coming in with Happy trying to get his heroes to level 3 as quickly as he can. We saw in game number 2 what those undead heroes can do with level 2 skills. So for now, Wand of Lightning Shield has level 3 on the Death Knight, and that's a level 2 Death Coil. Good for him. A bit of a sneaky move here though with the Zeppelin. I like that. So now we could actually see some really nice drop plays here. Does he already have Web? Did he even go for that? No really need so far. We'll probably research it sooner rather than later now that he sees that happening. But that's a nice attack against the expansion. A little bit of Red Dota style here is definitely what he could do. Immediate town portal, since Happy just simply said, okay, you're not going to sneak my gold mine. You're not going to just simply take that down. Obviously, there's no web yet, which is why this is getting away. Maybe not. Team. Alright, Farsia is down, and oh my god, GG immediately. The vision granted through the Destroyer, then Rubian Tower slows it down, and thanks to the Orb of Corruption, Focus Fire, and the Destroyer, that's the end of the air unit. Drops, kills the Farsia right away. Didn't survive the crash, and that's a 3-0 victory for Happy in this first round of the Rising Star Cup playoffs in the winner bracket. Happy advancing to the winner bracket semifinal. GG, and well played. Thank you everybody for watching the video today. I hope that you enjoyed the show and the commentary. And keep in mind that the spoiler protection that is going to run for the rest of the video is made possible by all the support on patreon.com. So guys, if you want to support my work, if you want to help me start new projects and keep the spoiler protection in place, please consider heading over to patreon.com/Khaldor. There's also a link in the YouTube description, and check that out. Thanks in advance, and see you guys next time with more esports coverage here on Khaldor TV. Have a great day.